What if the very foundations of your reality weren't what you believe? What if everything you see, feel, touch was just a projection? There was a man who dared to lift that veil, to look beyond the surface. A man who, the shadows say, delve into ancestral wisdom and unearthed hidden mysteries so deep they brushed against the essence of existence. And the price of that spiritual enlightenment? The title suggests it, disturbingly. Passing away shortly after presenting his boldest revelations to the world. Michael Talbot, that's the name. And the idea we will explore today, inspired by minds like quantum physicist David Bohm and neuroscientist Carl Pribram, is the theory of the holographic universe. Madness? A fantasy taken from ancient forbidden texts? Or perhaps the most fundamental truth about what we are and the cosmos we inhabit? This idea isn't just speculation. It's a key that could open the doors to inner alchemy, to understanding the mysterious cosmic energy, and to absolutely redefining everything we consider real. Prepare for a deep dive, a joint investigation into the nature of reality itself. If you dare to question everything, if you feel the call of what lies hidden, stay until the end. Give this video a like if the mystery grabs you. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these explorations. And leave a comment sharing your first impression on the idea that our physical reality, every atom, every star, even our own body, could be just a shadow of the essential. Just a shadow of the essential. Does this resonate with something inside you? Perhaps with echoes of Plato's cave? The idea that what we perceive as solid, real, and tangible is in truth a projection from a deeper, vaster reality incomprehensible to our ordinary senses. This is not an entirely new notion. The ancestral wisdom of various cultures, from Hindu Vedanta with its concept of Maya, illusion, to Kabbalistic mysticism with its veils of existence, has always whispered about these veiled truths, about hidden mysteries awaiting revelation for those who seek spiritual enlightenment. But now, this ancient intuition seems to find a surprising echo in cutting-edge science. David Bohm, a protege of Einstein, looked at the quantum universe and saw something deeply anomalous. He saw particles that seemed to communicate instantaneously across vast distances, defying conventional laws. For Bohm, this suggested an underlying reality, an implicate order that is primary, indivisible, and holographic, from which our everyday reality, the explicate order, emerges as a projection or manifestation. Think of a hologram. If you break a holographic plate into pieces, each small fragment still contains the complete image, albeit at lower resolution. Bohm suggested that perhaps the universe is like this. Each part contains the whole. This is an idea that overturns our mechanistic, fragmented view of the world. While Bohm explored the cosmos, Carl Pribram, working in the field of neuroscience, faced a similar enigma in the human brain. How are memories stored? They didn't seem to be located in specific points, but rather distributed throughout the cerebral cortex. Pribram, inspired by Bohm's work and holographic mathematics, proposed that the brain itself operates like a hologram. Memory is not like a file on a hard drive. It's an interference pattern distributed throughout the brain tissue, allowing us to reconstruct the reality we experience. Our perception of the external world, according to Pribram, could be a holographic construct generated by the brain from an underlying frequency or pattern. This is where Michael Talbot enters the scene. Talbot, a writer and researcher, saw the astonishing resonance between Bohm's ideas about a holographic universe and Pribram's about a holographic brain. He argued that if the brain functions holographically and the universe is holographic, then our reality might be the interaction between these two holographic structures. The brain, acting as a kind of holographic decoder, interprets the universes. Implicate order to construct the explicate order that we perceive. This would explain phenomena that conventional science struggles to account for, such as telepathy, precognition, spontaneous healings, and even mystical experiences that align with the search for spiritual enlightenment. Could it be that Talbot, in connecting these dots, touched upon threads that resonate with arcane knowledge, perhaps even with the wisdom contained in certain forbidden texts that official history has preferred to ignore or suppress? Documents that spoke of a fundamental cosmic energy that shapes existence. If our reality is a projection, then changing the projection means changing the projector or the frequency being decoded. This opens fascinating paths for inner alchemy. It's not about changing the physical world directly, but about transforming our own consciousness, our own holographic lens, to perceive and manifest a different reality. Sickness, for example, could it be seen not as a physical failure, but as an error in the holographic pattern the brain is interpreting? Healing, then, would be a correction of that pattern at a fundamental level. And what is that implicate order, that source of everything? Baum called it a holomivement, a constant dance of frequencies. Other traditions have called it the akasha, the ether, or simply cosmic energy, the universal life force that permeates and sustains everything. This energy, in this holographic view, is not just a force. It is the very fabric of reality, the foundation upon which our three-dimensional existence is projected. Accessing this energy, manipulating it through intention and consciousness, becomes the true art of inner alchemy. Talbot postulated that by understanding this holographic nature, we could not only explain inexplicable phenomena, but also actively influence reality. Is that why his work generated so much discomfort in certain circles? Because it challenges control over the narrative of what is real? Because it suggests that the power to shape reality resides not in external structures, but in individual and collective consciousness? Ancestral wisdom always knew this. Hidden mysteries always pointed towards the primacy of consciousness over matter. Spiritual enlightenment, in this light, could simply be the direct experience of the implicate order, the merging with fundamental cosmic energy, transcending the illusion of three-dimensional separation. If this is true, what does it mean? For our lives? For our perceptions? For our free will? If we are projections, who or what is the projector? Or are we ourselves conscious fragments of that universal source experiencing itself through these three-dimensional manifestations? The questions multiply, and each one takes us deeper into the labyrinth of existence. But if we are projections, who or what is the projector? Or are we ourselves conscious fragments of that universal source experiencing itself through these three-dimensional manifestations? The questions multiply, and each takes us deeper into the labyrinth of existence. Let's consider the most radical implication of this holographic view. If the universe is like a holographic plate, where every small portion contains the information of the whole, then there is no true separation. Distance, linear time, the distinction between I and other, all become an emergent illusion from the three-dimensional projection. In the implicate order, the totality is folded and contained within every point. It's as if every particle of cosmic dust, every living being, every thought, contains within itself the echo, the complete reflection of the entire universe. This idea is not merely a modern speculation. It resonates with ancestral wisdom, with the deep understanding of universal interconnectedness found in the hidden mysteries of various traditions. Think of the Oriental concept of Indra's net, where every jewel in a vast network reflects all other jewels, and that reflection is in turn reflected infinitely. Or the cosmogonies that describe creation as an emanation or division from a primordial unity that never loses its essential cohesion. Forbidden texts, those suppressed or veiled knowledge, often alluded to this underlying unity, perhaps because they challenged the paradigm of separation that allows for control and domination. If there is no separation, how can one justify war? Inequality? Fear of the other? This intrinsic interconnectedness offers a plausible explanation for phenomena that conventional science struggles to comprehend: telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition. If my consciousness is not isolated within my skull, but is an access point to a universal field of information, to fundamental cosmic energy, then instantaneous and non-local communication with another consciousness, telepathy, or the perception of future events not yet manifested in our perceived timeline, precognition, cease to be inexplicable miracles and become inherent properties of this holographic matrix. They are simply instances where the illusion of spatial or temporal separation dissolves, allowing information, resonance, to travel freely through the underlying network. Inner alchemy, seen from this perspective, is not just the transformation of lead into gold on a personal or spiritual level. It is the art of tuning our own vibrational frequency to that of the totality, of understanding and directly experiencing this unity. It is the process of purifying the filters of perception that make us believe in the solidity and separation of the three-dimensional world, to access the vaster reality of the implicate order. Spiritual enlightenment, in its essence, might be precisely the dissolution of that illusion of a separate self, a conscious merging with the unified field, the realization that Atman is Brahman, that the individual self is identical to the universal self. This realization is not intellectual. It is an existential experience that transcends linear thinking. It reveals that separation is a tool of consciousness to experience itself in diverse forms, but not the ultimate truth of its nature. If every part contains the whole, then each of us is not a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a drop. We carry within us the complete information of the cosmos, the unlimited potential of creation. The question then is not whether we are connected, but how conscious we are of that connection and what we do with that understanding. Do we explore the hidden mysteries within ourselves? Do we apply inner alchemy to dissolve self-imposed barriers? Do we seek the spiritual enlightenment that reveals the totality? Or do we remain attached to the illusion of separation, perpetuating the suffering born from it? The choice is in our perception, in our willingness to see beyond the surface, to feel the cosmic energy pulsing through every cell of our being, and to recognize it in every face we meet, in every star in the night sky, in every grain of sand. And in doing so, perhaps we will unveil even deeper secrets about the nature of consciousness and the fabric of reality. Perhaps these secrets push us to consider a possibility radically different from what materialist science has taught us. What if consciousness is not a mere epiphenomenon of the brain, a secondary product of complex neuronal dance? What if, instead, the brain acts more like a sophisticated receptor, a biological antenna that tunes into and decodes a universal field of consciousness, a vast cosmic energy that permeates all existence? This is not a new idea. It resonates through the ancestral wisdom of countless traditions. Think of the Vedic Akasha, the cosmic mind or nous of certain Greek philosophers, the divine emanations of the Kabbalah, or the pleroma of the Gnostics. All point to the existence of a fundamental reality from which our individual consciousness is an expression, a localized manifestation. The brain, from this perspective, would be the instrument that limits and channels this universal consciousness to allow individual experience within space-time coordinates. It is the dial that tunes into a specific station on the vast spectrum of being, the filter that reduces the infinite potentiality of the cosmic field to the perceptual reality we call our world. Without this filter, the individual mind would be overwhelmed by the totality of universal knowledge and experience, unable to function within the necessary parameters for life in this dimension. But here lies the hidden mystery and the power. If the brain decodes, then our way of decoding influences what we perceive. Our attention, our beliefs, our emotions, our intentions are not just internal responses. They are modulators of the antenna. They adjust the dial, altering how the cosmic energy field is interpreted and projected as reality. This is where consciousness is revealed not just as a decoder, but also as a co-creator. We do not create the totality of the field, which is infinite, but we do create our experience within it. We shape the universal clay with the sculpture of our perception and our intention. This is the practical essence of inner alchemy, transforming the internal state to alter external manifestation. It's not about illusions or superficial magical thinking, but about a deep understanding of how individual consciousness interacts with the very fabric of existence. By purifying the mind, dissolving fears and limiting beliefs, and aligning our intention with universal principles, we change the frequency at which our brain antenna operates. This not only changes our perception of existing reality, but in ways we are only beginning to understand, can influence how the potential of the cosmic field materializes around us. Understanding this is taking a giant leap towards spiritual enlightenment. It's recognizing that we are not at the mercy of a fixed external reality, but are active participants in its unfolding. Perhaps certain forbidden texts or esoteric teachings were considered dangerous precisely because they revealed this power inherent in consciousness, a power that challenges control structures based on the perception of powerlessness and separation. Accessing this ancestral wisdom through the practice of inner alchemy allows us to tune into higher frequencies of the cosmic field, unveiling hidden mysteries about ourselves and the universe around us. If we tune our antenna, what do we perceive? Perhaps not just a slightly different version of what we already know, but something fundamentally distinct. And here lies one of the deepest hidden mysteries, the possibility that what we call reality is no more than a projection, a mask that hides a much vaster and more authentic plane of existence. The idea that we are trapped in an illusory three-dimensionality resonates with echoes of ancient teachings and philosophies. Think of Plato's allegory of the cave. Imagine prisoners chained from birth, seeing only the shadows projected on the wall by objects passing behind them, illuminated by a fire. For them, these shadows are the only reality. They have never seen the objects themselves, nor the fire, let alone the outside world with the sun, trees, and stars. Isn't our everyday experience similar? Our physical senses, wonderful as they are, act as powerful filters. They capture a very narrow band of the electromagnetic spectrum, a small fraction of the cosmic energy that flows through everything. They construct the perception of a solid, three-dimensional world with defined boundaries. But what lies behind the shadows? What lies beyond the cave wall? Ancestral wisdom, in its many forms, often points to other realities, other planes of consciousness or dimensions that coexist with ours but are inaccessible to ordinary perception. Shamans who travel to spirit worlds, mystics who experience heavenly visions, philosophers who postulate the world of ideas, all seem to be describing the same fundamental intuition that there is more than our physical eyes can see. Some of the forbidden texts, silenced or destroyed throughout history, attempts to describe these worlds, or worse still, to provide a map to reach them? Did they reveal techniques of inner alchemy that allowed the individual to unchain themselves and turn their head to see the source of the shadows, or even leave the cave? Spiritual enlightenment, viewed through this lens, is not just a state of bliss or inner peace. It is, above all, an act of expanded perception, an awakening to the true multidimensional nature of reality, shedding the illusion of three-dimensionality as the sole horizon. It is understanding that the self that perceives the shadows is much more than the chained body. Inner alchemy, then, becomes the process of refining the instrument of perception, of cleansing the eye of the soul from the dust and distractions of the shadow world. It's not just about purifying the mind or spirit in a moral sense, but about transforming the capacity to tune into the subtler vibrations of cosmic energy, those that shape not only our physical reality, but also the planes beyond. By dissolving the internal structures, fears, dogmas, rigid identifications that keep us chained to the cave wall, we create space for a consciousness to emerge that can perceive the light that casts the shadows, or even turn to behold the very source of that light. Hidden mysteries begin to reveal themselves, not as secrets guarded by some external elite, but as aspects of reality that have always been present but remain hidden from those whose perception is limited by the veil of illusion. The provocative question remains: if this three-dimensional world is just a shadow, how solid is it really? And what does it imply for our existence if our true form resides on that vaster, more authentic plane? Are we the prisoners who dream of the sun, or are we the sun that has forgotten its own light while casting shadows? Ancestral wisdom woven into myths, rituals, and esoteric teachings often described creation not as a finished act, but as a continuous process, an emanation of cosmic energy from the undifferentiated one into the multiplicity of forms. This emanation creates layers, or worlds. Our three-dimensional reality would be one of the densest layers, furthest from the source, where the illusion of separation and solidity is most pronounced. But the connection is never broken. We are always, in essence, interconnected with these higher planes, with the source of light, even if we are not conscious of it. The task, then, is to remember, to consciously reconnect. Forbidden's texts, perhaps, contain diagrams of this connection, or instructions for navigating the paths back to the source, what some traditions call the path to spiritual enlightenment. This path involves a deep inner journey, an inner alchemy that transmutes the lead of our ordinary consciousness, limited by illusion, into the gold of awakened consciousness, capable of perceiving reality as it is, or at least beyond the shadow. Hidden mysteries are merely the principles that govern these higher planes and the path to them. Principles that, once understood, allow us to operate not only in the world of shadows, but also to interact with the light that projects them. Cosmic energy is the medium, consciousness is the receiver, and inner alchemy is the method. And if our reality is, in effect, a stratified, interconnected structure, not rigidly fixed, but fluid in its origin, then what happens with the phenomena we label as paranormal? Are telepathy, telekinesis, precognition, or the chaotic energy of a poltergeist truly anomalies? Or are they simply glimpses, fleeting evidence of this deeper, more plastic reality structure interacting with ours? Let's consider telepathy. In our seemingly separate world, minds are islands. Yet, reports persist of thoughts shared across vast distances, of knowledge of the unexpressed. If, instead, consciousness is a facet of the underlying interconnected, cosmic energy that weaves all existence, then minds are not isolated points, but nodes within a vast network. Telepathy would not be a magical intrusion, but simply the perception of resonant vibrations in that network, a natural consequence of minds being fundamentally non-local, tied to the whole. It's not about breaking the rules. It's about operating according to the rules of a higher layer. And what about telekinesis or poltergeists? The movement of objects by an unseen force. Our common understanding posits that matter is inert unless physically acted upon. But if matter itself is condensed cosmic energy, and if consciousness, especially when heightened by emotion or focused intent, can resonate with or direct this energy, perhaps through principles understood in ancient wisdom or hinted at in fragmentary or even in Forbidden's texts, then interacting with the physical world without physical contact becomes less impossible and more dimensional. It's as if a hand from a slightly less dense layer briefly dips into ours, stirring the waters, causing ripples. These phenomena are not reality breaking down. They are reality revealing its underlying malleability, its capacity to be influenced by forces beyond the purely mechanical, forces perhaps linked to the subtle body or awakened while refined through inner alchemy, precognition, perceiving future events. How can one perceive something not yet manifested? If time, as we experience it linearly, is primarily a construct of our current layer of reality, a function of its density and separation, perhaps deeper layers exist outside of or encompass our linear flow. Accessing these layers, perhaps through moments of heightened consciousness or altered states achieved on the path to spiritual enlightenment, might allow glimpses of the probabilistic pathways of reality, like seeing the potential currents in a river before they solidify downstream. Hidden mysteries are not just abstract philosophies. They are descriptions of how these underlying dynamics operate. These paranormal events are like cracks in the facade of the purely material world, allowing the light of the deeper structure to shine through. They are not aberrations. They are demonstrations. Demonstrations that reality is not a solid block, but something much more fluid, more responsive to consciousness and energy than we dare to believe. They are invitations to investigate the true nature of existence, urging us to move beyond the comfortable but limited view we cling to. Reality, as we see now, is not the unshakable rock we were taught. Phenomena that defy Cartesian physics are not system failures, but revelations of its deeper nature, a field of potential, a responsive vibrational tapestry. This is where the forgotten power comes into play, the ancestral wisdom encoded in the hidden mysteries, our own vibration, and the purity of our intention. Think of reality as a vast, constantly shifting hologram of information and energy. Our internal vibration, our emotional, mental, and energetic state is the frequency we tune into, the note we strike in this quantum field, whatever we vibrate. Internally, be it fear, anger, clarity, love, or gratitude, resonates with similar frequencies externally, attracting and shaping the circumstances we experience. This is not an abstract concept. It is the law of resonance in action on the manifest. Plain, but it is not enough to simply vibrate high. True power lies in mastering that vibration, a process inner alchemy describes as the transmutation of the lower metals of the self into gold, and then channeling intention. Not a superficial wish, but a clear focus of will, free from internal doubt or contradiction. When our vibration is aligned and our intention is pure, it acts like a laser beam upon this information hologram. It doesn't destroy, but reorganizes, condensing potential into a manifest pattern. It is the ability to deliberately interact with cosmic energy, directing its indeterminate energy into specific forms. Forbidden texts, whispered in closed circles for centuries, allude to this innate human faculty, the ability to co-create one's reality, not as an egoistic whim, but as a profound responsibility. They speak of keys, of methods to purify the channel and amplify the signal. And this is where the heart comes in, not just as a biological pump, but as an energetic center of immense power. Modern science is begrudgingly starting to map the vast electromagnetic field generated by the heart, which is significantly stronger than the brain's. Ancient wisdom has always known this. The heart is the portal, the resonator, the supreme amplifier of intention. When pure intention, born of clear consciousness, is infused and validated by the heart, its signal is catapulted with immeasurable power into the vibrational field of reality. It is the heart that provides the necessary charge for intention. To manifest, for the laser to effectively reprogram the hologram about spiritual enlightenment, is not just a state of well-being. It is the development of this capacity, the mastery of one's own vibration and purity of intention, which allows for a conscious and harmonious interaction with the cosmic energy that forms the structure of the universe. Hidden mysteries are not secrets kept on a whim, but knowledge that requires inner preparation, inner alchemy, to be used ethically and effectively. The manipulation of reality is not for the unrefined mind or the clouded heart. That's why much of this knowledge has been veiled or considered forbidden texts. Power without wisdom is dangerous. Our vibration is the state of the projector. Pure intention is the film we choose to project, and the heart is the powerful lamp that illuminates the screen of reality. Internal dissonance, confusion of intent, coldness of heart, all this generates distorted images, a chaotic reflection in the mirror of existence. Clarity, purity, love, this is the frequency that aligns the self with the underlying order of the cosmos, allowing intention to manifest with grace and precision, weaving new patterns into the vibrational tapestry we call life. It is a constant invitation to self-observation, to inner cleansing, to refine our own frequency so that we can finally be conscious conductors of the symphony of existence. But what if this symphony is constantly out of tune by an invisible conductor? And what if the conductor, no matter how much they superficially try, is swept away by deep currents they aren't even aware of? Here lies one of the deepest mysteries that ancient wisdom sought to unravel, and that the path to spiritual enlightenment inevitably faces. I am referring to what some call the subconscious, that silent ocean that underlies our waking mind. Think of it not as a minor part, but as a vast submerged continent, 9/10 of our total being. In this abyss swim the ghosts of the past, the echoes of ancestral fears, beliefs inherited like a cursed legacy we accept without question, emotional blocks petrified into coral, traumas that the conscious mind preferred to forget, but that the body and soul registered. These are the programs. They operate without our conscious permission, like software running in the background, shaping our perceptions, dictating our reactions, projecting our reality. You can, with your conscious mind, desire health, prosperity, and harmonious relationships. But if your subconscious is loaded with fears, programs of scarcity, beliefs that you are unworthy of love, or self-sabotage patterns learned in childhood, it is this deep programming that will tend to manifest. It's like trying to project a vibrant, colorful movie onto a dirty, torn screen. The resulting image will be distorted, blurry, and incomplete. The screen is our reality, and the projector is our consciousness, but the movie being played is dictated by the tapes stored in this subterranean cinema. That's why many purely superficial attempts at change fail. Mechanically repeated affirmations, forced positive thinking, all this is useful to a certain extent, like trying to clean the screen without touching the projector. True inner alchemy is not superficial mental gymnastics. It is a courageous descent into that ocean, an immersion into the dark, unknown waters to confront and reprogram the programs operating in the depths. It is a work of purification and transmutation at the level where the root of manifestation lies. This descent is not easy, and perhaps that is why much of this knowledge has been kept as hidden mysteries or encoded in forbidden texts, accessible only to initiates who have demonstrated the necessary preparation and pure intention. Changing subconscious programming is shaking the very foundations of our being, and this has profound implications for how we interact with cosmic energy, the vital force that animates everything. Our subconscious patterns act as filters through which this energy flows, determining whether it manifests as health or sickness, abundance or lack, peace or conflict in our experience. Every unrecognized shadow in the abyss of the subconscious is a black hole that drains our energy and distorts our projection. Every buried fear is an anchor that prevents us from sailing freely on the sea of existence. Spiritual enlightenment, seen through this lens, is the process of bringing light to this ocean, of making the unconscious conscious, of rewriting the programs with the wisdom of the soul, instead of remaining at the mercy of the echoes of the past. It is the mastery of the internal projector, the cleaning of the lens, the conscious choice of the film we wish to project, aligned with the pure frequency of cosmic energy. It is not enough to wish for light if the bottom of the soul is full of unconfronted darkness. True change is not about altering the external world, but about reprogramming the internal projector, purifying the silent ocean. This is the main task for those who seek to be conscious conductors, not puppets of the depths. How do we navigate this ocean? Ancient traditions offer maps, but the journey is individual, and the compass, alas, the compass points inward. And what do we find when we venture into the depths? Secrets the conscious mind struggles to ignore, truths that liberate us, and the true power of ... soul. What does your inner compass reveal? Share your journey. Subscribe to the channel. In the next mystery, the veils of reality.